AYN has stepped up a gear with the premium look and feel Android gaming handheld to rival the AYANEO Pocket S. But how does it compare in terms of price, performance, features and quality? Let's find out in our AYN Odin2 Portal review. The AYN Odin2 Portal measures 10.1 by 3.8 by 0.6 inches and weighs around 430 grams. Like the AYANEO Pocket S, the Portal features a single sheet glass front which is curved to match the contour at the sides. It looks and feels the part of a higher quality handheld. Taking centre stage is a 7-inch OLED touchscreen with a 1920 by 1080 resolution at 60 or 120 Hz. The colours and brightness really look top quality on this handheld. On the sides we have dual analog sticks, a D-pad and the usual gaming buttons. There are also 2 additional Android buttons for home and back. On the bottom is a covered micro SD card reader, a 3.5mm audio jack, and a USB 3.1 Type-C port for charging and data, including video output. The top features left and right trigger and shoulder buttons, volume buttons and a power button. The back has a large grille for air intake and 2 customizable buttons. The Odin2 Portal features the Qualcomm Snapdragon G3X Gen 2 processor with Adreno 740 GPU. It is the same processor used in the current Odin2 series of handhelds, and we will be comparing the performance shortly. There is a choice of 8, 12 or 16 gigs of RAM, and depending on the RAM option there is 128 gigs, 512 gigs or 1 TB of storage respectively. For communications there is Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.3. Powering the AYN Odin2 Portal is an 8000 mAh battery with a 27 watts charging speed. In our battery life tests with ANTUTU running on a loop, maximum performance settings at full brightness, we got a battery life of around 5 hours. Average usage will be even higher depending on demand. In our fan noise and temperature tests, we manually set the fan speed to maximum and we got around 58 decibels. On the smart fan setting, unless you are playing something really demanding, you will barely hear the fan in say an average office environment. We got our highest temperature of only 45 degrees centigrade on full load, and a little lower on average usage. It is very quiet and runs very cool. As always, we perform some benchmarks to see the performance as well as compare with other similar devices. We will be comparing with the other Odin2 models, which have the same processor, as well as the AYANEO Pocket S with the higher performing processor, as well as the cost. And for a low cost handheld, we are comparing it with the Retroid Pocket 5. We start with Geekbench 5 for legacy testing. It performs a series of benchmarks on the CPU single or multi-cores. We see near identical scores with the other Odin2 models in the single core performance. The multi-core scores are varied between the Odin2 models, with the Portal taking second place between them. In the newer Geekbench 6 benchmarks, we again see similar scores with the other Odin2 models for single core. And in multi-core, the Portal does drop to third place between the 3 models. ANTUTU performs various tests for day-to-day usage of an Android device, from browsing to gaming. The Portal does very well, just behind the original Odin 2 and a fair gap in front of the Odin 2 Mini Pro. And last but not least is 3D Mark. As expected, the scores are maxed out for the Slingshot benchmark. In the Wildlife Extreme benchmark, we have near identical scores between the 3 Odin 2 models. The AYANEO Pocket S shows its GPU power here with a noticeably higher score. Overall, the Portal had great scores when compared with the other Odin2 models. We have higher CPU performance than with the Pocket S Snapdragon's G3X Gen 2, but when the GPU is in use, it blows the Odin 2's GPU out of the water. But do keep in mind the price differences. The AYN Odin2 Portal comes fairly bare bones with the usual Google apps including Play Store. You can download any apps from there or install from other sources. In the pull down settings, you can quickly adjust a number of settings including the performance, fan speed and switch between 60 and 120 Hz refresh rate. You can also change the LED settings and controller styles. The AYN overlay gives you a bunch of easy to access options such as screen mapping, which we will show in a moment. You can set the frames per second, temperature, CPU and GPU usage, and there's a few options for screenshots, live streaming, etc. As well as our go-to Android games, we thought we would try out a few others. With this CPU and GPU, you can easily enjoy a large number of games from low demanding puzzle games up to more action-packed first-person shooters. Many games do support controllers now, and the ones that do all worked great for us. For the games that do not have built-in controls, you can easily set up the screen mapping and play them very well. Setting up the screen mapping is very easy. While in game, open the screen mapping function and simply drag and drop the respective icons over the on-screen controls and buttons. Your controller input will now mimic pressing the screen. It works great and has no issues with compatibility. As well as Android gaming, you can rewind time and enjoy a massive selection of retro consoles, computers and handhelds. The Odin2 Portal can easily handle just about everything from Atari 2600 up to the PlayStation 2 era with no issues at all. Let's take a brief look at some of the more demanding emulators for both older and more recent systems. With the PSP emulator, you can increase the rendering resolution to 1080p with all of the graphics tweaks, and the Portal will not break a sweat. The 3D based games will look great with the improved visuals. Citra for the most part runs very well. With the more demanding games, you may experience a few shader lags here and there, but overall no major issues. Medium and lower demanding games run great, and you can even increase the rendering resolutions. The PlayStation 2 emulator, Aether SX2, runs great. With my go-to game Outrun, we get a smooth 60 plus FPS at 1x resolution. We can go as high as 3x resolution and keep it well above 60 FPS. With Vita 3K you can run many compatible games just fine at full speed. Depending on how demanding the game is, you can increase the rendering resolution up to 1080p if you wanted to. For the now discontinued Yuzu emulator, we see fairly good performance. Don't expect to run first party titles at full speed, but for mid and lower demanding you will get some good results. We get full speed on Cruising Blast, with some minor dips below 60 FPS now and again. The AYN Odin2 Portal represents a higher end handheld when compared with say the Odin2 and Mini Pro models. We have the great looking 7-inch 1080p 120Hz OLED compared with the LCD and IPS displays on the other models. We also have the more premium looking glass front, which stands out amongst the other two models. Compared with the AYANEO Pocket S, we see a few differences. The AYANEO Pocket S has a smaller 6-inch IPS display, which admittedly does look very good. It also has a single glass sheet adding to the premium feel. The main difference here is the processor. The higher performing Snapdragon G3X Gen 2 gives you up to 15% extra speed with GPU intensive tasks. But, as we mentioned in our Pocket S review, do you actually need the extra performance? Aether SX2 and Yuzu, for example, are discontinued and no longer in active development. There is nothing to really demand higher performance unless you want a few extra games to perform faster on the emulators. The AYN Odin2 Portal is a fantastic Android handheld in its own right. It has a premium look and feel, as good as any's performance, comfortable to play on, and OK software for controlling the handheld. If you are in the market for a premium looking handheld, then the Portal is an excellent choice. You can learn more and order your AYN Odin2 Portal from us at DROIX.co.uk and DROIX.net for worldwide shipping. And if you found this review useful, please subscribe to keep up to date with the many reviews and videos coming up that you won't want to miss out on. Drop a comment below with your favourite retro handheld. I'd love to hear what you're gaming on. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.